Hello, and welcome to a new video blog entry from hollytreeenglish.com. My name is Holly, sometimes they call me Teacher Holly, and I invite you to watch this video to check out a game demo. This is a game that can be played to practice a number of language elements. It is also possible to apply it to other languages besides English. So I invite you to watch, share, and enjoy. Today, as you can see, I am joined by a fellow teacher. This is Jonathan Huggins of HugginsInternational.com. That's HugginsInternational.com. Thanks for joining me, Jonathan.
Thanks, Holly, for inviting me. It's a pleasure to talk with you.
A pleasure for me as well. What viewers probably haven't heard is that I think we spent a good over half an hour chatting before starting this video, and that is what usually happens when I get with fellow teachers.
Yeah, you have a lot of great advice and a lot of good experience, so it's a pleasure discussing this teaching with you.
Thank you very much, and I can return the compliment to you as well. You really made me think about some things, so that's always good.
Cool.
Okay, so we are going to play a game that doesn't really have a name, or if it does, I don't know it. It was inspired by a a movie I was watching on the Hallmark Channel. And it uses the letters of the alphabet to create the challenge. And so, um, what I usually start with is just basically explaining the game a little bit to the students. This one isn't quite so easy to pre-teach, or
Mhm.
at least I haven't figured out how to do an easier job of it, but I usually tell the students what I will tell you, Jonathan, is that each of us will take a letter of the alphabet and we must introduce ourselves and a friend or family member with that letter. So each name must begin with that letter. And we are going to give job titles or job actions that
Mhm.
begin with that letter and try to add an adjective if we can. So big challenges, but I think we're up to it.
Okay, so what would be an example that we could use for like the letter A?
Right. So usually what I do is that I start the game off and
Okay,
take the letter A, and then that provides the examples for the student. So there it is. I was trying to find the chat box. There it is. So my name is Anna, and my husband's name is Adrian.
hmm
We are um, we are alert artists. So we
Okay,
pay attention to what is around us. We are alert artists.
nice. Okay, so Anna and Adrian, who are alert artists. Nice.
Uh-huh. And so
Okay,
now you
so
have to take the letter B.
okay, I'm Bob, and my wife is Brittany, and we are broke bankers.
Oh, ouch. Okay. Okay, my name is Christina. My sister's name is Carrie. And together we are critical cooks.
Okay, critical cooks. That almost sounds like Gordon Ramsay, maybe.
Yeah. We have a reality show.
Okay, so now I'm on for letter D. So
Mhm.
I'm David, my sister is Dana, and we are dangerous drivers.
Oh. And what do you drive trucks?
We're police officers.
Oh, oh, mercy. Okay. Okay, my name, just to be fun, I'm going to add a native element here because I don't insist that students use English names.
Okay.
It sort of depends on the aim of the activity. So my name is Ilyana,
Mm-hmm.
and my friend's name is Elizabeth,
Okay.
and together we are, um, let's see, we are, and my mind just went blank. So what I'm going to do is take the opportunity to demonstrate. What I tell students is that you can use Google
Mm-hmm.
to fill in the blanks, and this will also help your students to practice locating vocabulary on the web
Mm-hmm.
and um, do sort of web quest type ideas. And Jonathan, you have an interesting website that I would like you to take the opportunity to talk about while I find this job title.
Sure, no problem. I think I was thinking as well if I was drawing a blank on some vocabulary, the website onelook.com, that's spelled ONELOOK.com, they have some interesting searches that you can do with variables. So if I was on the letter E, for example, um, I could do an E with an asterisk, and that could be E and then any number of letters. And then with those results of those words, I could filter them based on the part of speech as well. So I could filter, let's say, for adjectives, and then I could get an E word that's an adjective. If I were doing like a crossword with this kind of a function, I could even specify the exact number of missing letters. So I could do an E and then a question mark is representing one missing letter. So I could do E question mark, and then maybe another letter, and then another set of letters, or even an asterisk, and then I could get some kind of a formula for a specific word or a template for a word that I was looking for that might fit in a crossword. However, for this game, I think I would just use like the E with an asterisk to kind of, and then filter it by the adjectives or nouns.
Yeah, that sounds like it would be a viable option. And I would imagine that teachers could also use it to create activities if they needed to gather vocabulary for activities and their minds were drawing a blank. I know that sometimes when I have to create content, for example, if I need to teach personality adjectives, I'll think of a few and then my brain just goes, and I have to actually Google it and check out something that someone else has posted, and so
I think that's
um,
the point. Yeah, I think as teachers, we facilitate like the learning, but we're not necessarily walking dictionaries. We don't know all the words in the English language. So I mean, it is quite possible that we draw a blank on like, okay, name 25 words for personalities and go. It's real
right.
simple. Yeah.
This isn't a game of Jeopardy.
Exactly.
Although it feels like it when you're in front of a student.
Yeah. Yeah. They're looking at their watches within 5 seconds, and you're like,
Oh,
oh,
mercy.
come on, please. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so with that being said, I have my answer. So once again, I am Ilyana. My friend's name is Elizabeth, and
Hmm.
together we are eager employment counselors.
Nice. Okay. So they want you, yeah, to find a job quickly. Okay. They're eager
Yeah,
to.
so we quickly help people find jobs. Yes.
Nice. Okay. So, so you can get your commission.
Right?
Okay. F. I'm Frank. My son is Francis, and we are fancy farmers.
Fancy farmers. Okay, okay. So you buy like high-end seed and all that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
and we go out in the field in suits.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Just to
Must
create.
cost you a fortune in your clothing budget.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So my name is Galina,
Hmm.
and my daughter's name is Greta because her father is German. Um, so that would be Greta, I think.
Okay.
Um, and together we are great gardeners.
Okay. Cool. They might work with Frank and Francis.
Right? Yes, yes, we're consultants for
Yes.
them.
And okay, so eight. Um, I'm Hugh. My uncle is Hank, and we are. Um, what would be a profession with H? We are handsome hospital staff.
Nice one. Okay. Oh goodness. My name is Iris. My husband's name is Isaac, and together we are interesting Irish dancers.
Nice. Okay. Cool. Cool. And Jay, I mean, I won't use my name, but let's say as a nod to one of our supporters, I'm Jack, and my wife is Johanna, and um, we are just jugglers,
I wonder how justice plays into juggling. You don't cheat and grab it.
or perhaps only. But that's the only thing we do. Yeah, we're just jugglers, or we're fair
Okay.
judges.
Yeah, yeah. So that actually would open up, that would actually create, if you used this sort of thing, that would create a teachable moment where you could talk about the difference between just and fair or the
Mhm.
similarities.
Or just and only as well.
Hmm. Oh, yeah, just and only. But of course, that would make it an adverb, and so that's another teachable moment.
Mm-hmm. Hmm. Yeah, yeah, I mean, it could open the doors to a lot of ways to expand on how to use this vocabulary. I was also thinking of this as well. I mean, I've done a slightly similar exercise taking the alphabet with some students of like trying to test their memory, so that maybe this was from like a car ride game to try to keep people active while driving, like on a road trip or something. But let's say you were going to the supermarket and you had to buy something that started with the letter A, and then the next person has to remember what the previous people had already said. So by the time you get to the letter J, everybody in the game has to repeat letters A through J. So I guess another activity in this with the people would be each successive person has to repeat the other people's names and the adjectives and the professions. Although, because it's like four elements for each letter, it could be a lot of information to remember. But yeah, you could adapt it as a memory game as well.
You you totally could, and that sort of memory game, I've actually used a similar sort of memory game. So, don't underestimate car games or T games as language learning or practice games. I say T games, I forget what book it is or blog post I was reading, but I think it was a book, and the author uses some talks about adapting some T games, and of course, when you adapt them online, again, I will give mention as I'm googling job professions beginning with K. I will give mention of one of the things that I talk about on these videos is that when you are teaching small groups of students online or um, when you are teaching one-to-one, have to become the other member of the pair or the other part of the group. And so you really have to sort of get into the trenches with your students. You have to, oh my goodness, there's a job title here called keg varnisher.
Okay. What would
Calcutta,
you
well, I'll
pick?
be, okay.
Nice.
Some interesting job titles here. So you learn new things as you are Googling to teach your students. That is another little tip there is that be ready to learn something yourself when you do this.
Hmm.
So my name is Catherine, and my friend's name is Katie, spelled with a K. I know that happens sometimes.
Hmm.
My friend's name is Katie, and together we are knowledgeable kelp cutters.
Okay. Interesting. Okay.
Kelp is, the plant on the seabed.
Oh, okay. Yes, yes. For a couple, yeah, I was like, I wasn't sure what you were cutting, but for letter L here, let's say I'm Leonard. My brother is Louis, and we are loyal lion tamers.
Very nice. Very nice. Okay. My name is Maria. My sister's name is Martina. And we are memorable marine biologists.
Cool. Okay,
Yeah,
memorable.
so we have publications and people remember us because we're in all the journals.
That's a good. That's a good one. Okay. Let's see. And I'm Nathan. My mother is Nancy, and we are um, nice uh, nail makers. I don't know if that's a.
Okay, well, there are a lot of nails needed, so we have to have people who will make them, yeah?
Yeah.
Um, okay. So right here, I want to suggest, lest this get seriously long, let's do two more, and
Mhm.
then let's talk about some different variations that we can suggest to the audience. So I will take the challenge of O. My name is Olga, and my husband's name is Oli, short for Olaf.
Okay.
So yes, my husband's name is Oli, and together we are um, odd. Let's see. We are odd orchestra conductors.
Mm. Okay. Odd one. Yeah. So yeah, some of those orchestra conductors are a bit strange to begin with. I don't necessarily what would make them even more odd. I'm
We're
like,
so odd, we're normal. We're odd within the profession.
yeah, there is a spectrum, and we're yeah, well, the normal side of the odd. Okay. Okay. So and then this last one, I guess, would be a P. So
Mhm.
I'm Peter. My sister is Paula, and we are mm, uh, patient preachers.
Patient preachers. Well, that is a good quality to have if you're a preacher.
I guess, yeah. It's not
Okay.
all stone and fire all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, no, 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 no. That is an element sometimes, but yes, preachers need to be patient, especially when counseling parishioners. There's another P word.
Those are the people in Paris.
Yes. Okay. So in terms of variance, I'm going to let our guest go first. What are some variants you could think of in how to handle an activity like this?
Um, Another version or a game that I do know in Spanish, at least in Mexico where I live, it's called Basta, Basta, and it's kind of it may be based on another game, but you kind of take the letters of the alphabet and you have to come up with flora, fauna, maybe the name of a company, maybe the name of a product, maybe the name of a city or a country. Um, and I think there's maybe another thing maybe I'm missing. But as you kind of somebody goes through the alphabet in their mind, and then you say stop, and then whatever letter they're on, then everybody has to pick that same letter for this list of words, and they have to come up with a word in each one of those categories with that
Hmm.
first letter. And then if other people, when their time is up for like a minute, if they each have the same word, then they get half the points. But if they have a unique word in each one of those categories, they get the full points. So if there was something like 100 points per word, if they were all unique, you would get 100 points for those words. If it was if somebody else had the same word, you get like half the points. So you want to be unique and creative with the vocabulary. That's something I play from time to time in Spanish. So that kind of drives me crazy with Spanish vocabulary. Um,
That's really interesting. That actually sounds like a great activity for small groups, or even as a teacher, one to one. I could imagine, so you would have like a silent period where, for example, yourself and a student have to write their little um, paragraph, and then you send them to each other via Skype, because what you want to avoid is having the others read out loud and giving the other people chances to change their answers.
mhm. Yeah, in an online classroom setting, it, some of these games that would be very easy to do in person, you have to get creative for that. So yeah,
Yes.
so having something uh, as a text that you like, okay, countdown 3, 2, 1, and we both hit enter to send the paragraph. I think yeah, that avoids the kind of cheating or the like, oh, being tempted to change the answer aspect of that. Mhm.
Exactly. And so that actually brings me to a little tip I want to give for Skype and Google Hangouts. So with Google Hangouts, it is possible to send a private message. Of course, you can open an independent individual Hangout and send a text message to someone. That's one way to do it. But if you want to use the in-app group chat
Mhm.
inside the actual video Hangout, there's like a slash, I think it's /2, the person's name, and then the private message or something. I forget the exact code. It's not complicated. I just would have to find it again. Um, but what happens is, say there are three people in the Hangout. Only the person whose name you have written in there will see that message. The other person won't see it. So if you have to do anything where you need to share something with one student that the other student can't see, you can do it
Okay.
that way. It's
Mm.
also possible to do so in Skype. I discovered this without really meaning to. But let's
Okay.
say, for instance, I'm going to teach a group of two students.
Hmm.
So I create the group. I have one contact window open, and I add another person, and that creates a group. That
Hmm.
group is open now in basically the main Skype window holds the
Okay.
group.
Hmm.
And then what you can do is actually open two more contact windows, one each for those two students.
Okay.
So I'm teaching Yelena and Olga. So I will have the group in the main Skype window, and whatever I type in that chat window, Yelena and Olga will both see.
Hmm.
But I will also have a contact window open for Yelena, and a contact window open for Olga. And if I need to send something privately, maybe I'm helping Olga with her part of the conversation, and I'm trying to silently coach her a little bit. I will type in Olga's window, and Yelena will not see it.
Hmm. That's true. Yeah, you may want to also use that option for like role plays. If you
Mm-hmm.
say, student A, here's your text. Student B, here's your text. Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Excellent idea. Yeah, and you can do the same thing with the Google Hangout thing. And I would imagine in Zoom and some of these other things, there's a way. Yeah, in Zoom, if you go into the chat window, you can select whom you are going to send a message if you're in a meeting with several people,
Okay.
or you can choose to send it to everyone.
Okay.
Yes, and so some variations that I'm thinking of that I have used. I have used this profession one, not with adjectives, but with profession names or with activities. So I'm Brenda, my brother's Bob, and we bake cakes, something like this.
Hmm.
So it's a little bit similar to what we did, but you can expand it to more general activities, hobbies, and the like.
Hmm. I could also
Um,
see like adding cities or countries if you like we bake cakes in Berlin.
that's
Uh,
true. Yes, exactly. So that's another sort of way you can do it. You can also, if you get a little bit creative, you can practice other grammar elements, not just adjectives and verbs and city names. But you can even say, I have done it with comparatives, and of course, as a sort of side benefit, practicing when to use an article with a comparative and when not to, because you
mm,
correcting the sentence structure if you need to. So I'm the best baker in Berlin.
okay.
And if your student says, I'm best baker in Berlin, then you can basically let them know, okay, you need to use an article here with this comparative.
Mhm. Or I'm better than I don't know,
I'm
somebody else.
better than any baker in Berlin.
Okay. So yeah, that's very kind of getting into the alliteration aspect of the language. That's kind of cool as well. Yeah, you could really expand on this. And in terms of well, I mean, as a game as well, I was thinking one time I was applying like the card game of Crazy Eights, and for each time there was some kind of a number or a color or for a suit or something, I was assigning some kind of a punishment or a penalty. So um, me as a teacher, it wasn't so interesting because like I didn't really want to penalize my students. So it'd be something like, okay, introduce yourself, tell a story, tell a joke, um, do something random. But once I had my two students playing this amongst themselves, then they got like very punitive that they were having so much fun
Oh no.
flicking on each other. So it was no longer a teacher. I could just stand back and watch. So I suppose you could add some element into this, like uh, um,
If they
where if
mess
there
up,
if
they
there's a
have to
card game,
repeat the last one or something.
yeah, or there could be something like, okay, you're gonna have to recite some piece of information that they're having a hard time with, or um, like yeah, something that would kind of get them to have that slight a touch of social embarrassment, but not too much, so that they kind of there's some risk in the game.
Extra homework.
Yeah, struggle a little bit, make them work during the class, but yeah, there's nothing like having a little bit of a kind of getting other students to kind of give each other a penalty. I've seen that as kind of students for some reason they enjoy that aspect a bit too much.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. And they enjoy, I have worked with some students who really enjoy catching the teacher off guard.
Yeah.
Last week I was giving a public class, and if you watch it, if anyone, who's checking out this video, you can look. The class is called How Can I Say dot dot dot, and it was a pronunciation class. And every teacher sort of has their Waterloo, I guess. And for me, spelling is it. English spelling drives me insane. So I can only imagine for my poor students. And so it was the word exhilarating, and I spelled it without an H, and I spelled it like it sounds. I spelled it phonetically. And
Hmm.
right in the public class, he catches me, he calls me on it, and I'm like, oh snap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I constantly have to check myself too when I'm sending text messages because I suddenly, I mean, with other languages, I'm suddenly like, well, wait, is that a double consonant or is that a single consonant in English? So
Oh,
I
mercy.
sometimes have to kind of be careful with that. Um, we're like, oh wait, what is it? And then you can use Google sometimes to quickly do something, but yeah, when you're
Oh,
on the
I do.
spot,
How
you
do you
have to
spell blah
write.
blah blah? Yeah.
Yeah, if you're taking too much time to write one word, it's a bit obvious or something. Um, but yeah, I think it's important sometimes for students to realize that us teachers are human and
Hmm.
we can't know the English language perfectly. Um, it can be embarrassing a little bit, and we do have anecdotes about those situations. But um, I think it's also a bonding experience for some students. I mean,
Hmm.
some who are out to get you. I mean, those ones are that's not going to be easy to bond with those people. But the ones who kind of realize, oh, okay, we have a quick laugh, and we realize, okay, we both kind of commiserate on the same aspect of spelling. You can kind of bond a little bit with the students.
Oh yeah, definitely. And to be perfectly clear and upfront, this guy wasn't out to get me. We've known each other for almost 2 years. So um, he's been my student for a while, off and on, and so he just enjoys kind of messing with me a little bit, and I give it right back. So he definitely wasn't out to get me. Just to make it clear for the audience, he was just messing with me, and so I just give it right back, and he takes it, and we have a good laugh, and the other students have a good laugh, especially his wife. Um, so yeah, um, it really is, as you say, a bonding. And it's interesting. Games like this can also be a bit of a bonding experience, I think, because they give you a little bit of insight into each other, into if you have a creative nature, or just helping each other lighten up. Because this game can be used as I've used it as like an activity that makes up most of the class, and I've also used it as an end of class activity, kind of a filler. Okay, we've done some grammar, some vocabulary, now let's just have a little fun, and it's really great for both of those purposes, and it really helps you and the student to just be able to lighten up and realize, grammar and vocabulary, they don't have to be boring.
Yeah, yeah. I could also say it could be even a starter for
Oh
like
yeah.
5 minutes, just kind of jog the memory in terms of, well, okay, let's go through some adjectives, let's go through some nouns or verbs or something. Or even if you had a vocabulary list that students had to review in previous classes, maybe you could integrate those vocabulary lists into the game to try to say, like, okay, extra points if you use your vocabulary words for this week or for this month, something like that.
Oh yeah, or even because usually we don't have all the letters of the alphabet in our vocabulary list. So I was kind of thinking the challenge is, okay, here's the list. Use the vocabulary words on the list, but your other keywords, like your person or your city, has to begin with the same letter.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm.
Both of those ideas I think would work. Or
Yeah,
I was
Spanish.
thinking present perfect tense sentence, keywords beginning with A, go.
Okay.
Anna, Anna has arrived in Arkansas.
Okay. That works. Yeah. Okay. yeah, you could definitely include the grammar element in there with the tenses. Mhm.
Hmm. Definitely. So, with that being said, I think we could go on and on about this, but with that being said, I want to say thank you to everyone for watching, and thanks again to Jonathan of Huggins, wait, HugginsInternational.com. I
Oh,
beg your pardon.
no
And
problem.
this is Holly from Holly Tree English signing off and saying thank you for watching.
Thank you very much for Holly for inviting me. It was a pleasure talking with you.
You're very welcome.